Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers, and I am the co-festival director and program director of Something Wicked in Film Festival and Events. I want to thank you all for joining us today. We are doing an amazing film today from the 80s, or at least some of us out there who grew up in the 80s and knew of this movie think of it as an amazing film, while as some of you probably have never heard of the film, much less think it is amazing. And to discuss this amazing film that I have not revealed the title to just yet is our special guests, Sarah Panozzo and Dave Watkins. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks
Oh,
for having
hi.
us on. Yeah. And also, it's Night of the Comet.
You filmed it before I was able to. Right, so everyone out there, this amazing film we're talking about today is Night of the Comet. It is a film that I grew up watching a billion times as a kid, and I'm pretty sure the movie tanked at the box office because it was on regular TV every day for God knows how long.
It didn't tank actually.
No, Kevin, it made
It,
so much money.
You know about that? This movie was like on
nah,
television every other day. You know, when movies take in the box office in the 80s, they're always on television every day.
No, the budget was 700,000 and it grossed 14.4 million.
That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Especially
It was a
considering the
commercial
budget.
success.
The budget
Yeah.
was ridiculous compared to what's on screen. You know, they got a lot on screen for that budget. In that,
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is an odd movie out there, but we're gonna get into that. So let's all jump in on the movie Night of the Comet. Because I actually want to know when you all kind of watched this or experienced it for the first time. So, since it is a film from '84, I know some of you were really young, if you were even born. So, but
Sorry, Kevin.
so Panazzo, let me know your little story when you first saw the movie.
I watched it for the first time ever this past week, but I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very much Valley Girl meets the zombie apocalypse, which I never thought I needed, but this is an awesome movie. I loved the girl power aspect of it because these two sisters are just like ready to kick some ass.
It's very
And I
unique
was
for the time period too to have like two like female leads like that.
right, exactly. And I mean, like Kelly Maroney went on to become like a official scream queen after this. Not that she did much screaming in this one, but the fact that they kind of influenced Buffy Summers and the creation of her character in Joss Whedon's show, this that's kind of huge
Sure.
back for
Yeah.
the 80s and 90s.
Well, I was more of a fan of Catherine Mary Stewart because her being in the really underrated Night Flyers movie, but also mostly the last Starfighter, which I may have seen probably a billion times as well from the 80s.
I watched that for the first time recently. It was maybe they came out with an Arrow release of it, on 4K, and I watched it, but it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was fantastic. I was kind of disappointed that I don't think I've really seen her in anything else other than Weekend at Bernie's.
And Bernice,
Yeah.
and she played in this movie called Dudes, which is also another great film. She had a very underrated presence in a lot of movies. And I don't think she gets nearly as much credit as she was due back then because she plays some strong female characters in these movies, especially in this one.
Well, I think the first time I saw it, I saw it on TV. But before I saw it, I saw I had a TV week, and I always get the TV week every week, and it had a picture of like the cop zombie in there, and I was like, oh, cool. I was thinking the cop zombie would be a bigger part of the movie, but but at the same time, I think too before I saw it, I think someone at school told me the whole plot before I saw it, which actually was kind of made it kind of interesting watching it anyway. But it was, I think, and at the time I watched it, I think the weird the weird thing about the movie is the comet itself, because the comet comes and people watch the comet, and then everybody who sees it turns to dust. So that, I think, is really like put a lot of fear in people about, even like as a joke about anytime there's an eclipse or a comet or something like that, everyone, a lot of people will refer to this movie like we're about to all turn to dust or something like that.
Uh, So I that being said, now that I know that you all have seen the movie and when you saw it, Panazzo, you're coming into it only a week into our.
Hey,
That's okay because this is one of the things I
it's
like.
a great movie.
I like to hear stuff like that because that means that the movie has aged pretty well.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
one of the things that took me when I was rewatching it is that these are different types of zombies than the other zombies being featured back then, because these zombies could actually talk, and move around like normal people
And
almost.
it's very light on zombie action.
Yeah, it is.
Because really there's the alley zombie at the near the beginning, and there's a
Mhm.
kid zombie later on, and then there's like the dream sequence that has the cop zombies in it, and then
Yeah.
other than that, it's like people who were kind of exposed to the comet partially start to kind of deteriorate and become
Yeah, they're
zombies.
like in that transition sequence where they're like ghouls, so they can like still talk and interact with people, but they're not quite there yet.
Right.
Um,
I mean, there's some weird like logic like
yes.
stuff here that doesn't make sense if you think about it too much. But so apparently if you're in something metal, you don't get infected. Like she was inside the main character, she's inside the theater inside of this back room that was made all of steel, and that's why she's not infected. And her sister happens, which is very unlikely, like two sisters, she happens to be in a storage shed. She slept the night in the storage shed, so she's fine.
Because kids did that in the 80s. They just ran
Yeah,
away from home and slept in a storage shed.
right, yeah.
Hey, they also slap their mother or their stepmother and get punched in the face by their stepmother. I think that was like I saw that scene and I started dying. I was like,
Yeah,
this movie's going to be fantastic.
yeah. Well, I was like, when I was watching it again this time, I really like the vibe to begin with, the 80s vibe, and all the video game playing. It's kind of
Oh, yeah.
like the Last Starfighter. Like she's in that movie, and then she's playing this video game at the beginning of it, and she's like making hilarious expressions while she's playing it.
Yeah, I kept expecting it to come back later in the movie that she was going to end up doing something like the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they go into the whole backstory of their dad teaching them how to like shoot guns, and they've got the whole training sequence of them just blowing up a car. And Sam's like, see, this is the problem with these things. Daddy would have gotten us Uzis. And I was just like, that's not something a Valley Girl says. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would hate to see how a modern day filmmaker would approach the same subject
Oh
matter.
my gosh.
Well, it's funny,
We'll
the
be doing
director
it all on
yeah.
Instagram.
For that sequence, the director said like what was happening. They were shooting the guns, and the guns were like kept jamming, and that was why they added that ad lib line in there about her dad. Like I think the actress just ad libbed that line.
That's fantastic.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, and that's the thing is, yeah, thank you, Dave, for instilling us with these little tidbits about the making of the movie because I had no idea.
Well, the director is Tom Eberhard. He's pretty hilarious in his commentary, and the actresses did a commentary too on the Scream Factory disc. But and they really like enjoyed working with him. They said they thought his script was hilarious when they read it, even though it's not as funny when you're watching it. But they said a lot of things that they thought that was funny when they read the script kind of translated differently while they were doing the movie. But Tom Eberhard also directed Captain Ron with Kurt Russell and Martin Short, and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. And probably if you ever seen Without a Clue, it's like a Sherlock Holmes movie with Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, that movie I absolutely loved when I was.
Yeah.
I have not seen that one in a long time, but when I saw it originally, I really did love it a lot.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. In a long time. I used to like it. I watched it a bunch of times, but it's kind of an underrated movie, I think. But he directed those and some other stuff. But he hasn't done too much lately.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what it is. Okay. All right, so tell me some other thoughts on this movie, The Valley Girls, who kind of take the world by storm.
I just found it ironic. There were so many like cliches that you see from like the 80s that play completely differently. Like they have the random fashion show in the mall to Girls Just Want to Have Fun, which, you know, they've
Yeah.
all got to have their fashion sequence, but then they like place the guns down delicately next to all the shoes and all that fun stuff. And it's like, yeah, you've got this sugar spice and everything nice type feel thing going on. And
Yeah.
they
That
just
sequence
really
is
kick
great.
some ass.
Yeah. And they yeah, that sequence is great. And they had they got really lucky with that department store. Apparently it was it looks like a mall, but it's a department store and a high-end one too. And they said that they were able to get that, without having to pay that much, and they just let them do whatever they want to in there.
That's awesome.
Around this really expensive clothes and all that,
It seems like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. They said everything went okay, but one weird thing I think about this movie is there's a lot of Christmas stuff in the movie. It's like, a lot of people will try to do I guess the argument or that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but I don't know what your opinion is on that. But this movie, I mean, do you guys think this is a Christmas movie or
Oh, they mentioned that in the little I want to say narration / overture. They do mention that what time of year it is Christmas. And I thought it was weird too because I hadn't really paid much attention to that until I rewatched it, and I was like, really? I just never.
Yeah, because you see the decorated windows. They've got some decorations, but because it's in California, like everything is still warm, so it's not like there's snow on the ground or anything. And they've got the Christmas carols on the radio.
It doesn't feel very Christmassy ever.
It doesn't.
But you see a lot of Christmas decorations throughout it, and there's a point later on, and when the guy shows up in the Santa Claus suit, but I don't know. It's he's apparently the director said the reason that he did that is because they were worried there would be Christmas decorations out when they were shooting on the exterior scenes.
It makes sense.
But then then they ended up not even being any hardly, It kind of helps set deck too, because it's an easy thing to like fill some space with some Christmas trees or Christmas decorations,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Speaking of set deck, I did appreciate all the little like signs that were hidden throughout the movie. So like they show the red dust sign. At one point they show entertainment is death in graffiti in the back alley. So there were just like tons of little things that like you can see that are like, oh, that's really punny. That's great.
I didn't notice that. Okay. When I rewatch it again, I'll have to take note of all that. This being the 80s movie, they probably did a lot of poking. This is towards the end or beginning of the 80s. I can't remember when this movie came out.
84.
Or this is the mid 80s. Oh, that is very interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they make tons of jokes throughout the movie. I mean, and like tons of references because Larry was renting It Came from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also kind of similar where like the human population disappears, but instead of zombies, they're replaced with aliens. So you've got kind of that little bit right on top of each other. And then my favorite bit was that they used the working title, which was Teenage Mutant Comet Zombies. And all I could do was hear it in the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song. So there you go, Kevin. That's for you.
And there was absolutely none of that going on in the movie. But it's funny that they're trying to, I guess it was the script was called that. It's so weird. Why would they even call it that?
Well, I'm pretty sure they probably didn't think of calling it Night of the Comet either, because think about it, the comet just shows up at the beginning of the movie, and then it's not really relevant.
Yeah, it's not like night ever again in the movie.
It's not relevant.
I think it is night some, but I think it's cool the way that throughout the movie outside, it's all sky's red, until near the end when it rains again. But it looks really, really cool, and they got a lot of cool exterior shots of the city looking like it's dead. It's like look like there's nothing going on there.
Yeah, something you couldn't get anymore in this day and age.
Yeah. Because I know it was hard enough to do with what was it, 28 Days Later?
Yep. Yeah, they had to really early to get in London to get those shots.
Yeah.
Really early. But that lends itself to a huge atmospheric thing in the very opening of the movie. A dead city, I guess is the way of calling it, a dead city. And now knowing how much it costs to produce, It kind of if they were working with what they had back then. I mean, whew.
Yeah. I don't know from a location standpoint how they managed to do that with nobody anywhere in the city at certain shots, but
Yeah, he said that some of the shots they would be like get up really early and do it. I guess in some instances they were able to shut down certain
mhm.
parts of the streets, but I think it all worked out for them. They got a good movie out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Their second unit did a really good job getting all those shots of the city.
Oh yeah.
So, what did you think of some of the other aspects of the film itself? We don't always get a chance to talk about some movies in depth, but this is one that I think that we could probably delve into just a little bit more, especially it being our zombie appreciation month.
Well, yeah, I think it's weird the zombies are used a minimum amount, but I think they're used effectively. At the same time, it would almost would have liked to seen a little bit more zombie action, but they might have gone too far if they added much more of it in there.
Yeah,
So,
because they never even really explain who the zombies were, other than those who were semi.
Yeah, the first one it shows is like a
Comet?
homeless man that kills the boyfriend of
Mhm.
Regina, and then she fights him, which is pretty cool, pretty good scene.
Yeah.
She fights him, you know.
well, it sets up the fact that she knows how to fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Zombie that she knows how to fight. That's when you realize he talks, and it's a little. At first, being someone who watched a lot of zombie movies back then, it was kind of weird watching a zombie talk because I hadn't seen. Whenever Return of the Living Dead came out, I never saw that one when it came out. I didn't see that one till much later, probably when the second one came out. So it was much later when I saw those, and I was only familiar with the original Night of the Living Dead. So zombies didn't talk. They just kind of ate brains. I mean, they just ate people. I'm getting them confused now because I've seen them too many times. So
Yeah.
seeing this type of zombie was much different, and it's not the reason why I'd seen the movie that many times because I wasn't really a zombie kid in the 80s. I didn't become a zombie kid until probably the 90s when I realized that Night of the Living Dead was an excellent movie. I kind of was drawn to this movie mostly because I was a huge fan of 80s movies and the fact that this had Stewart in it, you know.
Mhm.
So that being said, zombie movie. I mean, you're right, Dave. This is not like your typical zombie movie. The zombies aren't in it much, and I probably would have a greater appreciation if they were.
Well, there one thing I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't know about it until I was watching the commentary, but I was kind of suspecting it. In the original script, the Samantha character dies near the end of it when the doctor injects her with the she thinks that she's got the zombie virus and she injects her with the pen and then she's supposed to die.
Yeah, I was really confused because I was like, wait, they just nonchalantly just killed like one of the second best character in this entire movie. And I was really confused. And then I was like, okay, well, it's just like she knocked her out for a little bit to prove a point. But
But yeah, it was but apparently his like a lot of people who were working with him talked him out of it and they added the new stuff. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think if they would have kept that? Would it have changed? It probably would have changed your opinion of the movie, wouldn't it?
It would have. It would have definitely changed the tone
yeah,
of the movie. It would have been a different. Yeah, people. I don't think audiences would have been as receptive to the movie because throughout the whole movie, it's a fun movie despite everything that's going on. It's a post-apocalyptic movie, and over most of the world fucking dies. I think it would have been a much different film had she had died at the end. This is the first time I ever heard of this. So that's very interesting. So.
Yeah, and it's something similar like in the movie Night of the Creeps. They actually do kill off the second lead in that one in the middle of it, but it still works. But I think this movie, I don't think it would have worked had they done that. I think it would have left people with kind of a bad taste in their mouth, you know?
Yeah, because it's such a like fun, like almost family movie comedy. Like I feel like anybody could have really watched this. It wasn't like too graphic or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely would have changed the entire tone of the movie had they killed her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the zombies aren't nearly as disgusting as they are in Night of the Creeps, and they don't have as many little space slugs slithering everywhere. So I think they could. I think this one was a much safer film than that one was.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about this film. Even though there's a lot of it doesn't make sense if it doesn't hold up if you think about it too much, but it is a lot of fun, and that's all
Mhm.
that really matters. It moves and it's fun, and you know,
And I like to make a comment thinking about it because I watched the trailer for the first time. I'd never seen the trailer for the actual movie, and the zombie aspects are all played down. It's more or less Valley Girls in a post-apocalyptic world where everyone's dead except for them, and all they want to do is have fun. That is the trailer for this movie.
you're right.
Just
Nothing
about.
else is really in the trailer. They show them having fun getting dressed up. They show them with the guns shooting a lot of shit, and that's what the trailer was. So
Well, the director interviewed a lot of 15-year-old kids at that time, asked them what they would do if the apocalypse happened and everybody died. And he said for the most part they said that sort of stuff, and then they showed little remorse of of who wouldn't be there. But he said that some of them did. He had a conversation with one of them, and if they started asking about their boyfriend or girlfriend if they didn't survive, and then they said that would bother them. And so there's a scene in the movie where they're sitting on the cop car, and then they have this conversation about how like Samantha's a boy she might have dated died, and she there's a moment there, and he got that just from those conversations.
oh, interesting, considering that he ends up killing everyone's significant other when the story starts. Regina's boyfriend gets killed,
Mhm.
and then of course I can't remember the guy from Star Trek's name to save my life.
Hector.
His girl, not girlfriend, it's just some girl he had in his truck who runs off and he's killed. So significant others don't really have a long lifespan in this movie.
The was it Robert Beltran? He for some reason gets top billing because he's a guy, I guess. I don't know, but they're like we can't like say that these actresses are going to get top billing, but I mean he's in it a pretty good bit, but he's definitely the third main character.
Yeah.
But he does a pretty good job. It was interesting when the director hired him. He watched the movie Eating Raoul. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
It actually has another actress in this movie too. She's what's her name? I think Mary something. She plays the main Mary Warnov or something
Oh,
like that.
Warnoff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her and like Paul Bartel did a lot of movies together, including Eating Raoul, and they appear in Chopping Mall in cameo appearances at the beginning of it. But yeah, so like he played this character Raoul in Eating Raoul, and who was kind of he's a Latino actor, and he kind of may have the way the character is perceived as kind of more comedic in that movie. And the director hired him thinking that he was going to play him the same as he played Raoul, but he after he hired him, he's talking with the actor, and the actor's like, I don't want to play Raoul anymore. And he's like, it was already too late. I'd hired him already. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to play it straight. I want to be real serious with it.
Wow. Okay.
I guess that's what he kind of did for the first part of the movie, and then the second part of the movie, he shows up with a cowboy hat.
Mm-hmm.
And he said like that. Well, he made him wear the Santa Claus uniform. He said, and he didn't want to do it. Like, the director's like made him do it, and he randomly shows up in a Santa Claus uniform. That was the director did that. But when he showed up dressed as a cowboy, the actor showed up on set that day wearing that stuff, and he's just like, okay, I guess this is what we're going with,
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. See, I didn't know who he was until years later when I saw him in Star Trek. So, when I rewatched it, maybe 10 years ago, I think it was before recently, I realized, oh shit, that's the dude from Star Trek.
Yeah, he's in Star Trek Voyager, which
Voyager.
I've never
I was
seen.
like, in the 80s, I don't even know if they had. I don't even know that if that was when Star Trek was even out still. I think '84. There probably wasn't any Star Trek on the air, so I wasn't
Star,
thinking.
which one? Voyager, like
Voyager was much later.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like when there's like a bunch of them all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Eating Raoul was a really popular movie when that came out, so I could see why the director wanted them to play that role.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how you got two actors from that movie in it too, you know. And
Yeah.
she does a good job like playing the scientist who's kind of you don't know if she's good or bad and you really never know, you know. But
Well, and apparently this was like the first one where she played against that type because she was like the principal in what was it, Fast Times? Or was it the other one?
Oh,
you're talking about Kelly Maroney, right?
Yeah.
She was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I
Yeah.
almost didn't know what you were talking about because I've only seen that movie once. I didn't really
I saw it recently. That movie's awesome though. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's
watch it, dude. When I was watching that as a kid, I like,
yeah.
what the fuck am I watching here? I never watched it again. So I have not seen that movie and nearly as much as popular as that movie has grown.
Yeah, they got a Criterion release of it. It looks great.
Oh, well, see, there you go, everyone. Fast Times at Ridgemont High must be worth putting on Criterion Collection. But Shout Factory gets Night of the Comet. There you go. All right. Any other things to say about Night of the Comet other than, it's an unusual one. So so for me, I'm just gonna say these few words for the movie. Night of the Comet, when you're growing up in the 80s, is probably the most fun movie you can watch because you're right. You have two lead actresses who are the focal point of this movie that's a horror comedy, but less it has horror aspects. Like Dave said, the zombies come out every once in a while. And it's more about these two characters as they make their way through a post-apocalyptic world in which everything is theirs for the taking, which makes for a very hilarious adventure. And the men are secondary to their story, which is how it probably should be.
Well, I guess like what did you guys think about the scientists? You didn't ever talk about them and
I'm trying
Jeffrey Lewis, like
Lewis, thank you. I couldn't remember
Lewis's dad.
Lewis.
Yeah. Who's
character actor who seemed to pop up in everything in the 80s and 90s. And when I was rewatching this, I had forgotten he was even in this movie. Like I said, when I in the 80s, I probably watched it 20, 30 times. I don't know. It came on TV a lot, which is why I was under the impression it didn't make money. If you were growing up in the 80s, most movies that didn't make money got dumped to television where it played every day. And that was the reason why I hadn't seen it in so long. I had seen it so many times growing up. It was never on my list of movies to purchase and rebuy until we, of course, were going to do our show, and then you guys made me go out and repurchase it and re-experience it. Which I'm glad. And I'm glad, Panozzo, you got to experience the movie because I think there are a lot of people who get the impression that this movie is just a Valley Girl zombie movie, and they just don't give it two thoughts. It's some movie from the 80s about two Valley girls who have fun during the post-apocalypse, and there's some zombies, and it's been forgotten. I'm hoping that your kind words about the movie will help people to go out there and search for it.
I mean, I did see that somebody was working on a remake through Orion. And so they've just been in like the development process of trying to get it finalized before they can actually start working on it.
Oh, wow. That
So,
sounds really crazy, actually.
yeah, like I was like, maybe if they base it in the 90s instead of like super modern day, it could be another like fun throwback film. But like,
yeah.
I don't really think I would like to see a remake of this.
Right. I think there's definitely a ton of a time capsule thing going on with it.
Yeah.
I think obviously you do a remake, you're gonna have more zombies. You're gonna see the people when they see the comet. You're gonna see them turn to sand or disintegrate. You know, it's kind of cool the way it doesn't show it. It's like you see it, and then they come out the next day, and there's clothes and sand all over the place. You know, but you're definitely gonna show them turn.
Well,
One thing it reminded me of which like later on Independence Day, like where it's a similar situation where everybody comes out to see the alien ship and then it comes down and blows them all up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess they kind of do that in Mars Attacks too, which was also coincidental. Yeah, it's coincidental because everyone. I mean, a lot of people were assuming that Mars Attacks was a spoof of Independence Day, but it really wasn't. It was made. I mean, he had written the script at the same time they were doing Independence Day, so it kind of got shafted because of Independence Day. But Mars Attacks is a superior movie, I think.
I concur. I also agree. Mars Attacks is probably one of the best alien movies I have ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I have you two on this conversation. Unfortunately for me, I don't always agree with you on that one, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. And if we get around to it, maybe that would be a good one to put on our conversation because there are some horror elements in that movie, and of course, it is written or directed by one of our favorite directors, Tim Burton. So maybe we can squeeze that one in here a little bit.
Alien Month, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Alien Month, that's a good one. Alien Month.
There might be an Alien Month. Yeah.
I mean, it's not for like 4th of July.
Yeah. Alien would have to be intergalactic Alien Month. Yeah.
Intergalactic. I'm so glad that my guests on the show are coming up with great future month appreciations.
There's an Alien Day. It's April 26th.
Yes, like 2 days.
2 days from now. Yeah. We missed that. We're gonna miss that one.
Think about this earlier, guys.
Yeah.
Earlier, so maybe we could do it next year if we remember. April Alien Month.
But no one knows about that shit. It don't matter when you put out. You can like say it is Alien Month, and nobody's gonna know the difference. You know.
It was kind of like this month in Zombie Appreciation Month. I don't. Yeah. I found that from, but it sounded cool when I found it.
Right. Yeah. No one's going to question it, even if it's not true. You know.
Appreciation. Who's appreciating zombies? Zombie Month. I don't know, but we're doing it here on our show. That being said, are there any other final words about Night of the Comet from either of you two?
I'm looking in my notes to see if I have anything of interest here. No, I guess we may have covered most of it, but I think it's a fun movie, and I don't know about seeing a remake of it, but it might be good. But I don't know how they could. I think it's the time period that it was shot in, and the fact that I mean, I really love it that it is a low budget movie, and they did it for such a small budget, and they did so much with the movie, and that it holds up still, you know. And I think it helps that it doesn't have a lot of special effects in it, you know, because it some of them may at this point look more dated, but I don't know. I think it's a fun movie. I'd recommend it for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun movie. It's a fun throwback. It really is like a time capsule of that time. It's I mean, you get a little bit of everything. The one-liners are fantastic. The ridiculous amount of not real violence, but like shooting because people apparently can't hit each other with guns in a shopping mall.
That was one thing about it, though. It kind of bothered me a little bit, but it's funny that they're having so much fun in the shopping mall scene and getting shot at. But it's like they don't care. They got like machine guns and they're shooting at them, but they're not scared of. They're like she was like one girl's trying to distract them and not worry that she's going to get hit with bullets, you know. And it's like, okay,
she's just throwing shoes left and right, and it's like, okay, whatever.
But I mean, I guess that's kind of the spirit of it, though, is that. You know, they're not, you know, they're like stormtroopers, you know, they can't hit anybody with the machine guns, you know.
Well, and like you said earlier, like if you think about it too much, it takes away the funness. So just don't think about it. Enjoy the movie.
Yeah, don't think about it. It's an 80s Valley Girls versus zombie movies and then post-apocalyptic world. Don't think about the logic. There is none. It's almost like watching a trauma film, but better. That being said, everyone out there, if there's a remake, it's going to be god awful because there's no way to recapture the magic of a film like this. This is, like Panozzo said, a time capsule from the time it was originally made. Nowadays, you'd have an overly serious movie where you see people dissolve into sand or something else. You'd see the comet probably hit the ground somewhere and making an impact and all the huge budget. This movie is a movie, now that I know, on the lower budget spectrum, but they put every dime into the final product, which is why it has survived as long as it has. We hope that if you have never seen this film before or avoided it because of the strange trailer and the fact that it was always described as Valley Girls in a zombie apocalypse, that you check it out because those titles do not give this film justice. I think it's a film that you can all enjoy, and like we've said, you can enjoy it with your family, more so than Night of the Creeps. So I want to thank you all for joining us for this week's conversation in horror. Check out all of our previous episodes because we've done a lot of great movies, and remember to check out the other films during our Zombie Appreciation Month. You'll be glad that you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our social media pages so you can keep up to date with all of the other episodes that we have coming up. And everyone out there, we hope that you have a great day. Goodbye. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.